Let's take a look at which teams in the Metropolitan Division have the best goaltending group. We'll take a look at that next. Yo-ho everybody, and welcome to another edition of Yinzer on Hockey. Before we begin, make sure you go down below, hit that like button, click the subscribe button, and make sure you click that little bell so you stay up to date on all the off-season happenings. First off, I would like to thank everybody who's subscribed to the channel over the time, and we've made it to 100 subscribers, and we're going to keep going. There's going to be a big announcement coming up in the next couple of days on my next giveaway contest. So, thanks for subscribing and continuing to follow the channel. So today, we're going to take a look at the goaltending in the Metropolitan Division and how I rank them. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, the lowest team on my list right now is the New York Islanders. The New York Islanders have quite a different looking goaltending group this year. Yaroslav Halak's no longer there, and they've brought in Robin Lehner from Buffalo to be their starting goaltender this year. Last year's goaltending stats, .903 save percentage and a 3.42 goals against average as a group. Not very impressive. So we'll see how they see if Lehner can bring that veteran experience and help mold this group in a better direction and get them moving in the right direction. The rest of their group is looking pretty talented for a younger team who I think are still a couple of years away from competing, but have the potential to be a very good team in the future. Their backup goaltender this year will be Thomas Greiss. So he's been with them for a few years. Played with them last year. .892 save percentage, 3.82 goals against average. Not fantastic, but you know, a great goaltender. A very good goaltender to have on your roster who can fill in and play for a stretch if you need him to. But again, this is probably the Achilles heel of the New York Islanders this year. Next on my list of Metropolitan goaltenders is the Carolina Hurricanes. This team last year, they made a splash trade in the offseason to bring in Scott Darling, who was the backup in Chicago, to be their number one guy. He never really panned out entirely. His numbers last year, .888 save percentage and a 3.18 goals against average. Cam Ward pretty much stole that starting job back from him. So we'll see if he can be more steady this year and secure that starting job and hold on to it for the duration. Carolina's goaltending as a group last year was a .897 save percentage and a 2.95 goals against average. Again, not great. The backup this year is going to be Peter Mrazek. His history is pretty well documented. He had ample opportunity to steal the starting job in Detroit, never really seized a hold of it. Went to Philadelphia last year at the trade deadline. Didn't make a profound impact with that roster, so we'll see how well he rebounds. He's only on a one-year contract, so it's going to be kind of a make-or-break season for him as far as what his future holds in the NHL. Next up on my list is the Philadelphia Flyers. This is a team that has had some well-documented goaltending issues over the past few years. And as of right now, after looking back on the forward depth and the defensive group, Philadelphia has the potential to be the best team in the Metropolitan Division. They have the opportunity to jump up and take the Metropolitan Division, but it's all going to hinge on this group. Their starting goaltending is going to be critical this year. Last year, their starting goaltending as a whole, or their goaltending as a group, was a .907 save percentage and a 2.76 goals against average. Starting goaltender this year will be Brian Elliott heading into the regular season. He had a .909 save percentage and a 2.66 goals against average. Michael Neuwirth will again be backing him up. he had a .915 save percentage and a 2.60 goals against average. Everybody is really waiting on one of these two to give Philadelphia an excuse to bring Carter Hart into the fold. Everybody's waiting on Carter Hart, who in recent memory is probably the most recognizable goalie prospect in the NHL. And with good reason. He's a very talented goaltender on the verge of breaking through to the NHL. And he has that potential to be the long-term solution for the Philadelphia Flyers, a la Ron Hextall. So we'll see how that goes in the future, but for right now, this is what they got going for them. Again, Alex Lyon will be there for them in call-up situations and things like that, and he played fairly well in his limited amount of time in the NHL. So this is going to be the key to Philadelphia's success, though. Goaltending is going to be what it all hinges on for Philadelphia. Next up on my list is the Washington Capitals. This is a weird spot for the Washington Capitals because they're the defending Stanley Cup champions. And they wouldn't be the defending Stanley Cup champions if Braden Holtby wasn't the best goaltender in the NHL during the NHL playoffs. The issue becomes, during the regular season last year, Braden Holtby had a .907 save percentage and a 2.99 goals against average. Philip Grubauer for them as a backup had a 9.2 or a .923 save percentage and a 2.35 goals against average. You were giving up phenomenal stats when you gave up Philip Grubauer. So there is not that fail-safe behind you as a starting goaltender. There's not that safety net. And that puts a lot more pressure on Braden Holtby. Phoenix Copley is going to be the backup goaltender this year for them. He's a young guy just coming in, making his way into the NHL. We'll see how it goes for him, how it goes for Washington as a whole. This could also be that critical point for Washington. It could come down to goaltending being the key element for the Washington Capitals. They've got a very good forward group. One of the best top six in the NHL. Top five easily as far as the first two lines go. Their defensive core pretty much coming back fully intact. They signed Carlson to that huge extension. We'll see how they handle the pressure of being defending Stanley Cup champions, because that's a little bit more pressure than just winning the Stanley Cup. It's a little bit harder to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. That's added pressure. You're always going to get your opponent's best game just so they can say, hey, we beat the champions, or hey, we played our best against the champions. There's always that little bit of extra motivation for the visiting team to come into Washington. So if Holtby maintains the path that he was on during the playoffs, comes back and is that goaltender again this year, he's been a perennial Vezina candidate. There is that potential for him to get back to that level. If he is that guy, this list is entirely scrap, and Washington is going to be the top of this list, possibly by the end of the year, all hinging on Braden Holtby's ability to rebound from the less than stellar regular season that he had last year. Next up on my list is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Matt Murray is now the unquestioned starting goaltender for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He now has a full year without that safety net of Marc-Andre Fleury behind him. Last year's stats, .907 save percentage, 2.92 goals against average. In 49 games, not stellar. Quite underwhelming, actually, if you look at it as to the expectations we've had after the last couple of Stanley Cup runs. So his ability to rebound this year, hopefully minus all the injuries and all of the off-ice distraction that he had last year, if he gets consistent, steady playing time, and he's able to get into a rhythm of playing every other night, then he should be his stats should come up in this regard. Backup goaltender right now, according to Daily Faceoff, is Casey DeSmith. He did finish the season last year as the number 2 goaltender. He was there during the playoffs. Tristan Jarry just signed a 2-year contract with the Penguins. This is going to be a toss-up spot. Both of them are viable options. Last year's stats, Tristan Jarry, .908 save percentage and a 2.77 goals against. Casey DeSmith, .921 save percentage and a 2.40 goals against. Both are respectable for young, upcoming goaltenders. Pittsburgh's group as a whole finished the season with a .906 save percentage and a 2.92 goals against average. Quite underwhelming. Defense was less than stellar last year. Hopefully we have a little bit more steady and consistent play from our blue line. And that will also help improve the goaltender play. But again, this is where I start them out this year. I don't see the Penguins goaltending group peaking much higher than this in the Metropolitan Division, because the next couple of groups on the list are quite a bit separated from the bottom half of the Metropolitan. The top 3 goaltending tandems in the Metropolitan, I think, are quite separated. So we'll have to see the playoff performances from Murray. He has to deliver that on a consistent basis in the regular season before I choose to move Pittsburgh up on this list. But right now, I have them ranked as the 4th best Metropolitan goaltending team. Next up on my list is the New Jersey Devils. The New Jersey Devils last year finished the season with a .910 save percentage and a 2.83 goals against average. Starting goaltender, as of right now, slated to be Corey Schneider. Keith Kincaid is basically a 1B. This team is very, very set at goaltending. Last year, Kincaid had a 913 save percentage and a 2.77 goals against average. Corey Schneider had a .907 save percentage and a 2.93 goals against average. Very talented group, both of them capable of starting every night if they need to. But this is a great tandem to have as your 1A and 1B. And with consistent play, more consistent play from Schneider this year, with that level of consistency, this team is definitely a threat in the Metropolitan if their goaltending pans out as it should, and their youth continues to develop on the track that it's on right now. New Jersey's going to be a great team in the upcoming season. Next up on my list is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Starting goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky, no surprise here, .921 save percentage, 2.42 goals against average. He is a phenomenal goaltender in the regular season. Constantly in the Vezina conversation, always finishing the year up in that Jennings race, for the best goaltending stats. He's always right there in the conversation. Backup goaltender Jonas Korpisalo at an .897 goal save percentage and a 3.32 goals against average. He didn't play a ton last year, and I think this is a guy, he's young. As you get him more time and experience, he can develop into a very good goaltender as he plays more. And as John Tortorella develops more confidence in him to allow him to take more regular starts, he's a guy I think that's going to develop in a very good goaltending role as a backup to one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. And as long as you have a guy on your team that is always in the Vezina conversation, that is always in that Jennings race, as long as you have a guy like that starting in your net, and you don't have to worry about who you're putting out there every night, it's going to help boost your team as a whole. It's going to make your defensemen look better or play better. It's going to make your forwards play better. Everything's going to be better. It all starts from the net out. And I think that Bobrovsky is a guy that helps Columbus perform to their peak. I don't know if they've hit a peak yet, but but it helps them perform to the highest level that we've seen so far, and I think we're going to continue to see that in the future as long as you got a guy like Bobrovsky in net. And the number one goaltending tandem in the NHL is a little bit surprising, but I have the New York Rangers. Their starting goaltender is Henrik Lundqvist. We all know that. He finished last year with a .915 save percentage and a 2.98 goals against average. Quite below his expectations, quite below what the world has come to expect of Henrik Lundqvist. But I think still, even going into his 36-year-old season, he's still a phenomenal goaltender who can carry a team. Their backup goaltender this year, Alexander Georgiev, he's a guy that's young, developing, coming up. He's a 21-year-old. Last year, .918 save percentage and 3.15 goals against average. But he showed signs last year that he can carry more of a load than just the 10 games he played last year. Last year, Pavelek finished a lot of games for them, played a lot more than the others. So we'll see what this kid offers for them. But again, you got a guy like Lundqvist, probably a first ballot Hall of Fame type goaltender. He's going to give the Rangers a chance. Between Lundqvist and their defensive group, they have the potential to surprise a lot of people. I don't think any Metropolitan team is going to be in the conversation for the number one draft pick. I think they're all going to be in that middling range. A couple of them are going to separate out over the course of the year, and you're going to have one or two teams that probably finish 7-8 points above everybody else. But then you're going to have this conglomerate of teams within like 10 to 15 points of each other. And that's the way I kind of see the Metropolitan shaping out, because there is no standout group as far as being very, very far ahead of the rest of the division. You know, from 1 to 8, yes, there's quite a difference, but from 1 to 2, not so much. 1 to 3, not so much. 2 to 3, all these teams are very balanced and they should be very competitive this year. I hope, for the sake of the Metropolitan Division as a fan, I hope that this race comes down to the wire. We finish neck and neck at the end of the year. I love competitive hockey. I love a great playoff race towards the end of the season. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for. And we'll see how these position battles shape up, how my projections look towards the middle of the season. We'll take a look back at this, and we'll see how far off I was, because we know I'm not right, and I probably never will be. But this is just my thoughts heading into the season as it comes up. So let me know your comments or let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think is the best goaltending group in the Metropolitan Division here? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Follow me on all the social media listed in the description below. And again, make sure you check back. At some point this weekend, I will be announcing a video with my next giveaway description. So make sure you come back for that. And until I see you next time, have a good day.